good day. Thank you for making time for the briefing you need before you start your weekend. Tonight, we have the best news coverage in town, including the faces behind the Westgate terror attack. But also, at some point in this bulletin, we will have Alphonse Makacha as our guest anchor, plus Willis, the Webmaster, has a number of surprises in the unique Mind Your Language segment later on. Okay, it's okay. We'll have you later on in the bulletin. We'll have you later on, so just have a sit there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Katu, enjoy news. Okay, so he will be joining us in just a short while as our guest anchor. Now, the Kenya Defence Forces have released videos which they say proves they helped to secure money at several banks at Westgate. KDF has dismissed claims that its officers went on a looting spree during the siege. And as KTN's Edith Kimani reports, the government says no one will be spared in the quest to find the looters.
This is a unified tune different heads of security are singing in reaction to accusations of looting by the Kenya Defence Forces at the Westgate Mall. And the Inspector General of Police, David Kimayo's position could not be clearer.
So whoever would be found to have been implicated with this problem of stealing, then we shall be able to deal with that as per the law.
Various pictures and even videos have emerged showing alleged theft of property from shops within the mall. The Kenya Defence Forces are at the tip of every accusing finger and have been at odds to explain the alleged theft. The Kenya military spokesperson, Major Chirchir, however, tweeted another side of this story. Over 300 million repatriated from the banks, forex and casino at the Westgate. KDF did a fantastic job. We know our enemies who have decided to use propaganda to undermine our public goodwill, Chirchir tweeted. Major Chirchir's tweet was a follow-up of pictures and video footage sent to media houses showing stacks of money apparently found intact in banks, ATMs and casinos at the mall. There were even signed affidavits from proprietors of these establishments saying their money was found safe.
I'm not even sure if the queue will open now.
Where the truth lies may, however, be difficult to ascertain if videos such as this one posted by an international correspondent showing bullet holes in one of the bank's safes keep emerging. The official government tune,
we are pursuing our investigation to the very end,
however, remains a resounding, "It wasn't us." Edith Kimani, KTN.
Let's keep with that story. And joining me by way of phone is Major Emmanuel Chirchir, who is the Kenya military spokesman. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, you have been very clear that KDF officers did not loot at the Westgate Mall. Are you completely ruling out that they might have been involved?
Before I maybe answer the question, my heart and thoughts actually goes out to the families and friends of those who lost their loved ones during the terrorist attack at the Westgate. Also, my heart also goes out to the businessmen and the women who might have been affected in one way or another at the Westgate siege. I want to confirm that today, KDF remained true in protecting the people's properties. I think we've shared with you and the media houses and people at large on what effort we did in terms of securing properties. So those lines, those kind of words that are coming out that we might have looted, or maybe some of the soldiers might have actually carried out theft in this location. One, we'll investigate. Number two, whoever has been found up, of course, guilty of this, severe action is going to be actually met on these particular individuals.
Now, sir, let me present to you a scenario that is the question in many Kenyans' minds. Apart from KDF soldiers, hostages and terrorists, there could have possibly been no other person or persons inside the mall, which begs the question of what really happened. Who did it?
So far, the complaints with the police is 21. The complaints include loss of cash and, from the cash boxes, the missing merchandise to include jewelry, watches, phones, and laptops. And of course, we're talking of damages to merchandise as a result of firefighting from the Inferno at the Nakumat store. That said, we know very well that in the initial stages, because we are not the first reactors to this, and we're not apportioning blame. But when we took over, there were a number of people who were still running around in that particular mall. If they were true to their word, if they were true to their saving lives, that's another story. However, when we took over control until about Wednesday, we were asked actually to move out of the premises. And from there, we can actually totally confirm to you that nothing had been tampered with. So what I'm saying is it requires efforts by all the agencies to come out and ascertain what was the real picture before the investigation started. But we cannot just sit down and wait and of course, we're receiving all kind of hitting and bad name calling, if I may use those words, from every other quarter.
Now, sir, you have asked that anyone who has information on who was behind the looting should come forth. However, is that really realistic given that there are no civilians in the mall during the siege?
That's a scenario. But there are civilians, that, of course, who have complained that the KDF actually looted. Where is that evidence for you to say that the KDF looted? Bring it forth, and then let's investigate it. The Inspector General is on record saying that he's going to investigate everything. Share that information with him, and then perhaps you can take it further. I also want to tell you that KDF in itself is conducting an investigation, so that in the event of any member of the KDF forces who will have maybe committed an offense, you have my word. You have my word that severe action will be meted on this particular individual.
All right, thank you very much, Major Emmanuel
perhaps maybe you cut me off.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. He's telling us about, the update of exactly who was behind the looting. KDF has been very, very adamant, saying that the KDF officers were not involved. But of course, this is something that we'll be following up to see who exactly were behind the looting. Now, here in Nairobi, CCTV footage obtained by KTN shows the faces of the men who laid the siege at Westgate Mall a week ago. The four men appear relaxed and speak on phone for long periods during the crisis. The footage also suggests that the men may be in their early to mid-20s. KTN's John Alanamu has more.
The first CCTV footage of 4 of the terrorists that laid siege to the Westgate Mall. One of the terrorists makes his way to the hallway of a backroom storage area in the Nakumat supermarket. Before long, he signals to his colleagues to join him. Soon they're all in the back room and begin their search, likely for any innocents hiding in the rooms that these doors lead to. The man in the black fleece jacket, who seems to be the group's leader, is seen here making calls. Something that could give leads to the police in trying to isolate by elimination what calls were made by these terrorists from the Nakumat area telecommunication masts. The CCTV footage is time-stamped, which could narrow down the number of calls made from corresponding masts at a particular time. The 4 seem relaxed, strolling through the back room without any urgency. Later, the man who seems to be the group's leader is seen rummaging through the contents of one of the many tills at Nakumat on the far end of the screen. Even here, he's seen communicating on phone, relaxed, his gun not at the ready. It would seem that this was either very early on in the siege or that the terrorists were sure that they would not come under any fire from their position at that time. Other still images show the 4 going through the bread section of the supermarket. According to military sources, the names of 3 of the 4 are Katab Al-Kene, believed to be from Mogadishu, Somalia, and an Al-Shabaab trained fighter. Another name is Omar Naban, believed to be an Al-Qaeda adherent. One other name is that of Abu Baral Al-Sudani, believed to be a Somali national who received training from members of the Al-Qaeda. We cannot independently verify these details. John Alanamu, KTN.
Now, the attack at the Westgate shopping mall brought back sad memories for survivors of previous attacks in the country. Among them, those who survived the August 7th bomb blast in Nairobi 16 years ago. And while survivors of this latest attacks go through dark days, those who have gone before them say with proper support, they can enjoy their lives once again. Wilkis Tinyabo explains now.
Simon Ndirangu moved into this house shortly after the bomb blast of 1998. Here he has learned to enjoy life again, despite the hand that life dealt him. Simon is one of the survivors of the bomb blast of 1998 in Nairobi. Though he now has a positive outlook, it wasn't always this way. Simon was a computer engineer. While lying in the hospital, dealing with the news that it was likely that he would never walk again, he received visitors, survivors of another attack, who had come to encourage him and others to take heart.
When the Nairobi embassy was bombed, the American embassy organized with their state, and they brought the survivors, people who had all type, the bride people who were in the Oklahoma bombing, the people, their legs were chopped off at the arms and everything, and they could come, to visit us in the hospitals and be able to give us their own testimony, which actually gave us a lot of hope and a lot of courage.
When the attack of 9/11 occurred in New York, it was Simon's turn to lend a helping hand.
We joined forces. Kenyan, we were flown to the US. The Oklahoma guys also came down to the New York, and now we became also the mentors again.
The attacks on Oklahoma, Kikambala, and the Nairobi bombings were some of the worst attacks. But they also gave rise to a unique bond. The survivors of these attacks have now formed a global network of survivors, what Simon calls the circle of friends. And just like he received help, so he would like to extend a helping hand to the survivors of the Westgate attack.
They need somehow because the family comes first, but they need mentors, people who can say, I went through this. And through the grace of God, my family, the mentors from Oklahoma, from September 11, from Glasgow or from Britain, they gave us this courage, and that's why I'm here today.
The survivors of this latest attack have already embarked on counseling, but this, Ndirangu says, may not be enough. Every 2 weeks, he receives a letter from the United States Department of Justice. It notifies him of the status of investigations as the wheels of justice continue to grind. This, he says, has helped him to cope.
These are people who follow up all throughout, so you can own the process, and when the sentencing is being done, your opinion is sought. I would also ask our judiciary system, when they bring up, I know they will arrest the terrorists, they can involve the survivors of the Westgate. That would help them now to feel they co-own the process.
Simon lost his wife shortly after the attack. He now finds fulfillment in helping orphans in the area with funds raised by his circle of friends from across the globe. And now at 51, 16 years after his life was turned upside down, his message to survivors of the Westgate attack is that while it may take a while, life can be beautiful again. Wilkis Tinyabo, KTN.
To politics now, the Orange Democratic Party is plotting to revamp the former giant political party. Among the strategies, Zodium seeks to employ its political propaganda as seen in a document presented before delegates at the National Governing Council meeting. But as our political reporter Samogina now explains, it won't be an easy task.
The Orange Party is on a verge of wielding political propaganda as a tool to revitalize the party. According to a report presented to the party's National Governing Council seen by KTN, ODM's Executive Director Magerel Langat proposes, among other things, political propaganda as a strategy to reposition the party as the country's powerful political vehicle.
The party members must remain steadfast in supporting the party activities and policies at all times.
ODM's stature as the giant party has been weakening after being eclipsed in the last general election. Its influence in parliament under the CORD coalition as the opposition coalition has equally been dwindling, resulting into walkouts as a protest strategy to try cripple House business. But the party now says it's ready to take up the opposition role.
We as a party of the ODM in the CORD coalition, we have taken up our role as the official opposition and will render constructive criticism to the government in championing the needs of the Kenyan people.
To revamp the party and its structure, ODM holds its National Delegates Convention in February 2014 to elect new party leaders. Orange Party old dogs have clashed with the new blood over the party's leadership, with the youthful MPs blaming the lull in the party to old-fashioned ideas from its overstayed leaders. Despite downplaying the rift, the party maintains leadership is experience.
We need the energy and the vibrancy of the youth, but we also need experience in the party. So this leadership must be a blended leadership, because as you know, there is no university where you go to learn experience. You must just live it.
We are going to have a National Delegates Congress next year in February, when there will be opportunity to elect party leaders as provided in our constitution. At that point in time, there will be an opportunity for renewal and revitalization.
Ex-Prime Minister Raila Odinga sits at the perch of ODM's party leadership hierarchy. Former Tinderet MP Henry Kosgei as party chairman, Kisumu Senator Professor Anyang' Nyong'o the party secretary general, while Magerere Langat and Budalangi MP Ababu Namwamba organizing secretary, the only youthful MPs in the hierarchy.
This is a very free, open and democratic party. So nobody can gag anybody. They have opportunity and they will have their day when the time comes.
ODM has urged its members in its stronghold areas to continue registering as voters to boost its numbers. Samogina, KTN, Nairobi.
And now to news from the corridors of justice. Then Dementi Central MP Gideon Mwiti Ire was charged in a court of law over charges related to a collapsed pyramid scheme that swindled over 700 million shillings from unsuspecting investors. Also suspected police imposter Joshua Waiganjo was arraigned before a Nyeri court facing new charges.
Dementi Central Member of Parliament Gideon Mwiti was on the dock during his judgment, where he is alleged of deceit and trickery. The first-time legislator is alleged to have cheated 12 members of the Kenya Business Community Circle to part with 13 million shillings, promising that their contributions would grow at a 16% monthly interest rate. Nairobi Magistrate Elena Nderito, however, dismissed the case, citing lack of enough evidence from the prosecution. The case against Joshua Waiganjo, the alleged police imposter, got new evidence as the prosecution told the court of how Waiganjo duped the businessman out of his money on false promise that he will have his son recruited into the armed forces.
On his deputy, who would assist him?
Laikipia North MP Matthew Kideme's election was upheld by Nairobi High Court after a petition filed by Richard Leyagu was dismissed for lack of evidence. Justice Alfred Mabea ruled that the petitioner failed to show evidence of massive irregularities during the March election. Also, the High Court in Kitale has upheld the election of Saboti Member of Parliament David Wekesa. The court also ordered both the petitioner and the defendant to pay the cost of the suit. Lady Justice Abigail Mushila cited lack of evidence to conclude that the elections were free and fair. In Mombasa, the High Court has upheld the election of Johnson Mrutu as governor of Taita Taveta County. Lady Justice Maureen Odero dismissed the election petition, citing former Central Governor Jacinta Motela had failed to convince the court on irregularities during the March 4th general elections. The High Court dismissed a petition challenging the election of Mandera North MP Aden Mohamed Noor. Justice David Onyancha ruled that the allegations of irregularities cited in the petition by his rival Bashir Haji were not proved to the satisfaction of the court. Justice Onyancha dismissed the case with a cost of 6 million shillings. Winnie Kamau, KTN.
All right, time to take a short commercial break to pay the bills. Don't go away. When we come back, KTN Friday briefing gets even more exciting. Our guest anchor is here, Alphonse Tot Bakacha Tot Makoha. We'll take you to Kakamega for the story about a goat, a hen, and the never-ending love. Stay tuned.
You are watching KTN Friday Briefing.
Revisit a top story that we had, and police were until a few hours ago struggling to restore calm following day-long riots. According to the Kenya Red Cross, at least 4 people have been killed, and in the skirmishes that followed the murder of a prominent Muslim cleric, Sheikh Ibrahim Omar alias Rogo was shot dead alongside 3 of his colleagues last night. Rioters burnt a church and barricaded roads in the coastal city. Our senior Coast reporter Ferdinand Omondi, who is himself still recovering from the tear gas, now reports on the murder and the mayhem.
The passion elicited at the scene of crime, where 4 men died in a hail of bullets as they traveled from Mombasa to Mtwapa, primed Mombasa town for a showdown with the police. About this time last year, Sheikh Abu Drogo was killed in a similar fashion and the city erupted. On this night, his close associate, Sheikh Ibrahim, was among the dead. And the next day, Majengo area near the Masjid Musa Mosque, where Sheikh Ibrahim preached, erupted. Rowdy youth started violent protests and set alight a church, prompting the police to shoot in the air and fire tear gas canisters. Yet again, the mysterious killing of people in Mombasa has set off tension. And now there's a confrontation between the police and the people. And this now you can see the church has already been set ablaze here in Majengo, right next to the Masjid Musa Mosque, where Sheikh Ibrahim used to preach, along with Sheikh Abu Drogo alternately, sometime back when they were both alive. The Majengo Salvation Army Church is located barely 200 meters away from the Masjid Musa and was torched for the 2nd year in a row as violent youth protested against what they believed was the extrajudicial killing of innocent people. The condemnation was swift. The fire department responded swiftly in Majengo and began a battle to save the church from burning to the ground and possibly spread to adjacent buildings. They contained the situation in about half an hour. This incident prompted police bosses to dispatch officers to protect the Mombasa Pentecostal Church located within the CBD. The running battles were spreading to other parts of town, where alarmed businessmen quickly closed shop. Violence broke out in Kisauni as well, where rioters blocked several roads with burning tires. They also destroyed and looted property. Police fired gunshots and tear gas canisters. Several people were reportedly shot and 1 man died. Scores were ferried to the Coast General Hospital with injuries ranging from gunshots to knife wounds and fractures. A section of the youth in town broke away and started sporadic attacks on unsuspecting civilians. This man, a hawker, sustained wounds from a gang that descended on him just as KTN was approaching before he took refuge behind the steel door. He claims they stole some of the knives he was selling. The riots are believed to have been sparked by the death of Sheikh Ibrahim Amour, who was shot dead with 3 others along the Mombasa-Malindi Road Thursday night. The death rekindled memories of August 2012, when Sheikh Abu Drogo perished under similar circumstances along the same stretch.
Unfortunately, that's the practice here. When you're a suspect, you're automatically judged by the forces, and this is what happens in most cases. They finish you.
Extrajudicial killings of terror suspects. The government has to obey its own laws. It has to follow its own laws, or we have to disobey it, because we cannot sit and be slaughtered every day, or see our sheikhs being killed every day.
Na sio mara ya kwanza Makaburi atacha polisi. Juzi hata wiki moja bado isha alikuwa anatacha polisi. kama ako na ushahidi kuhusu polisi akuje mbele, asiende press, aniambie wale wanatekeleza hii mauaji ni wakina nani, tutachukua hatua. Sio kwenda tu kusema ni polisi na wewe una ushahidi.
Sheikh Ibrahim was a close associate of the late Rogo, who has been linked to the recruitment of Kenyan youth to the Al-Shabaab movement. Police believe Sheikh Ibrahim may have also been involved in terror-related activities.
Yes, he was among.
Why?
Because of the radicalization of the youth.
Police maintain that they are monitoring many people in the war against terror, but have distanced themselves from any extrajudicial killings, even as the body count of such suspects continues to grow.
As much as we cannot allow forces of terror operating in the country, but at the same time, we cannot run this country on jungle law.
The latest incident reopens a can of worms involving the mysterious killings of persons alleged to be involved in terrorism in one way or another. Yet again, the police are denying their involvement in the killings, but so far they are yet to bring any persons to book in the same breath. Ferdinand Mondi, KTN, Mombasa.
All right, and Ferdinand's story on murder and mayhem at the coastal city of Mombasa leads us to a big question tonight, and we are asking, what are your thoughts on the Mombasa kills? What are your thoughts on the Mombasa kills? Do share with us your comment. The number is 22155. That's 22155. You can also tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Betty Kyalo, and I'll be glad to sample your views during this newscast. All right, it's that time. Makoha?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes, of course.
Are you excited to be here at KTN? I'm excited to have you tonight.
Yeah, kabisa. Pia mimi nasikia mzuri sana kwa sababu leo niko hapa tena.
Uko hapa. Sasa Makoha,
napenda kutuma salamu kwa nini, unajua tena ndio pia wajue. Natuma salamu zangu kwa Margaret Wanyama, Josephine Wanyama, na Butola Wanyama, na pia bila kumsahau na mtumia pia ndugu yangu Isaac Kerombo hapo hivyo. Huyo jamaa bwana ananichazingi sana, na vile nimemaliza hapa, niendelee.
Imetosha?
DJ la unaona? Yes. Wasitu kwa wanyama, asante.
Imetosha, asante kwa sana. Na sasa nasikia Makoha hakuna suti ambayo inaweza kutoshea vizuri, ndio maana you have the
kabisa. Ni kukula sana, unajua pia ya hata wewe mwenyewe
unaona. Umekula kuku ngapi hivi tangu uzaliwe?
64 tu, sikitoka sana. Yes.
Now Makoha, I have a very serious question.
Yes, tafadhali.
Uko na watoto?
Yeah, of course, why not? I'm a father. What?
You're a father?
Yes.
Sasa ukiwa kwa nyumba, ukiambia mtoto wako nifanyie hii ama do this for me, wanakusikia kweli ama? Kwa sababu mimi naweza tu kuwa nacheka tu kwa nyumba.
Kusema ukweli, nikiingia ndani ya nyumba, madam, kusema ukweli, mimi kitu ya kwanza, mimi nakuanga yani ni papa, unajua? Papa ameingia. Umsahulu, unajua?
Lazima ufanye hivyo.
Si ndio msahulu, kwa sababu watoto wanajua huyo ni msahulu ameingia.
Sawa kabisa. Sasa thank you so much for coming to KTN Friday briefing. Watu wengi sana wanangoja kuona kama Makoha anaweza soma Kizungu bila kuchanganisha na Kiluya.
Ndio. Mungu papa.
Utakuwa sawa.
Leo Betty, leo umenilarukia.
Sawa. Sasa sijui kama unaona hiyo inaitwa autocue ile.
Ile ndio autocue. Okay.
Hapo ndo nimekuwa nikisomea stories zangu. Kwa hivyo sasa unaona iko sawa, tunaongea ongeze font kidogo.
Hiyo iko sawa.
Sawa.
Hiyo iko sawa.
Okay, sasa wewe nataka usome hapo. Alafu tutaongea. Tutajua vile umefanya after tumerudi.
Okay.
Sawa.
Asante sana Hadi Betty. Yes. 2 months ago, yes, Hawik swapped, yes, from the skills and stolen away the egg of a hen in Kakamega, forgot with the loss of its chicken, the hen. The NAP accord in the some compound living it with attention and love, and thus began a friendship that has forward resident of Kakamega town. Wilkisa Nyambwaya, yes, tells us a story of a goat and a chicken fried. Thank you very much for your words, Asante Wilkisa. Yes. Yeah.
Series depicts the unlikely relationship between a cow and a chicken. It is meant to draw laughs, but because art often imitates life, residents of Kakamega town have discovered a similar relationship within their town. Except that in Kakamega, the unlikely pairing is between a goat and a chicken. Where the goat goes, the chicken follows. The chicken is unruffled by the proximity of a creature it would, under different circumstances, flee from. And throughout the day, the pair engages in what in human beings could be called a public display of affection. It all started 2 months ago when the chicken lost its eggs to a hawk. The hen then decided to lavish its affection on the goat in the pen next door.
Alitoa mayai mwe kachukua zake sasa akadap kuku.
Watoto wa vifaranga vyake kuweza kufariki. Na mbuzi hii ilikuwa saa zote iko pamoja nayo. Sasa kuku imeona sasa huyu ndio watoto wake ambao ndio mayai ndio watoto wake ambao wamewalea.
And with love comes jealousy. The chicken will allow no other creature to come close to its precious friend.
Kila mara mama yake akija kunyonyesha hii mbuzi, kuku inakasirika kabisa, inafuata mama yake, haitaki kabisa mama yake.
But the goat seems unperturbed by the attention, even actively seeking the company of its friend. At night, the two lie side by side, and during the day they wander around together. Only their appearance and diet set them apart, and this residents say may serve as a lesson to the rest of the country.
Mimi ni mfugaji mbuzi mwaka 50 na sijaona maajabu kama hii.
Mnyama huyu na huyu wanapendana. Kwa hivyo ni sisi pia tuweze kuona mfano kama hiyo, tupendane pamoja pia sisi.
Wilkison Albor, KTN.
All right, seems that intro was a bit difficult for our Alphonse Makacha.
Yes,
basically, the story is about a hawk which scooped from the skies and stole away the eggs of a hen in Kakamega, and this hen has befriended a goat. So now it's not cow and chicken, but it's a goat and chicken. That is a story that Makoha was struggling.
Yes,
struggling.
Yeah. Mimi hatari. Umeona vile nimekusomea vizuri.
Umesoma vizuri. Now Makoha, I mean, you've been in this business for such a long time. What do you think of the new crop of comedians who are coming up?
Okay. Comedy sio ni kitu rahisi hivi vile watu wanafikiria, na ukichukulia maanani ama very serious, inaweza kukulisha na hata ilishe familia yako na hata kufungulia business zingine. Yes.
Sasa I know that you're a musician also. Does that mean comedy kutosha ukahave kuongeza kitu on the side?
No. Unajua sote Mungu alinipatia na lazima nitumie. Kwa sababu unajua ukiwa na kipawa share na watu wengine. Yes.
How do you think you fared today? Umeona umefanya aje? Sababu mimi naweza kupatia 1 out of 10.
What, Betty? Si nimesoma.
Umesoma ndio?
Yes.
Lakini kulikuwa na shida ya matamshi.
Ndio sababu. Mungu baba khandi. Unajua mimi nasemanga na mnaifi. Kila mtu na kasi yake. Sasa ukinileta hapa nianze kusoma tena mataarifa, jamani, so naona inakuwa ni ngumu. Yes.
Lakini umeenjoy.
Nimeenjoy yenyewe. It was very I can't believe.
Acha nisome some feedback here. Samalanga says, girl, salimia guest anchor kumtesa na kizungu.
Imagine.
Kumtesa sana na kizungu. Mwingine hapa anasema alikuwa anataka usome news, yani si like makoha lakini vile maybe unaongea lakini hawajui wewe ni makoha.
Hawana habari mimi ni makoha. Mungu papa.
Okay. Masikandie says makoha kizungu imekuja na meli kwa hivyo usijali.
Asante asante kwa morali hiyo.
Okay, mwingine amesema the amazing amesema makoha amebeat.
Hey, tena hanti. Kizungu ni niaram, kizungu ni fiatuka.
So thank you very much Makoha for that. We'll be coming to you in just a short while. All right, time for business. Kenya's Petroleum Refinery Limited is fighting off claims that it could be sitting on toxics buried in its backyard several years ago. Now, the claims were made by members of the National Assembly at one of their sittings. Adelaide Changole attended the meeting and brings us the following report.
Mombasa is the nucleus of Kenya's thriving tourism sector with its sandy beaches and idyllic travel destinations. But new allegations could put Mombasa's place as a city of sun and fun in jeopardy.
Of the 300 acres KPRL is sitting on has toxic dumping.
According to the legislature, the toxic waste was allegedly dumped into the facility ground over a period of 30 to 40 years by Chevron, Shell and BP when the three firms held a 50% shareholding in the refinery. Their stake was later sold to ESA Energy that has now announced it's opting out of the facility.
They were told to invest in the upgrade and modernization of that. They knew they will end up in investing in the cleanup of that toxic. And they knew that was a huge cost. And they wanted an exit strategy, even if it is selling their shares at a low price.
Interestingly, even though the 300-acre piece of land the refinery is sitting on is worth 5.3 billion shillings, the cost of cleaning up the pollution is said to be even higher than that.
What you will spend to clean it up is more than the cost of the land itself.
But the management of KPRL denied the allegations, saying the land in question was being used to grow coconuts.
We have this land available with us mainly for expansion. But as I said, sir, initially, about this waste part, I'm not aware.
Moreover, they argue that the refinery is subjected to an annual audit by the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, to make sure the refinery is not polluting the environment.
Conduct the annual audit to certify that the way we are disposing waste in the company is in a compliance with relevant regulations.
Members of Parliament vowed to investigate the claims.
If those allegations are found to be true, then this House will use all its might to ensure that you're going to be held accountable.
Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
Now, Kenya Airports Authority has invited bids for the development and management of a duty-free retail master concessionaire and an international brand fast food outlet at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The successful firms will be expected to set up at the new Terminal Unit 4 of the airport that is now back to full operations following a dawn inferno 2 months ago. During a tour of the facility earlier today, Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary Engineer Michael Kamau announced that gates 4 to 14 for international departures had been reopened and also domestic flight operations restored to Unit 3 from the cargo village. Additionally, the groundbreaking ceremony for the Greenfield terminals has been earmarked for December this year. On completion, it will be able to handle 20 million passengers per annum. Now, the business community is calling for faster decision-making process from the East African Community Council to speed up regional integration. Integration has been on the cards for close to 4 decades, but little can be said of the progress. Non-tariff barriers, a slow implementation and lack of impetus by partner states have not had a significant impact on regional trade. According to the ESC, hunches the structures of making decision and ratifying them problem has been a huge challenge, warning that global trade was not going to wait for the East African community to put its house in order. So far, the Common Market Protocol has been sanctioned, allowing for free movement of goods, but the march towards a common currency has been challenging, with both governments and the private sector calling for a change.
No. If we look at it in this manner and say, fine, could we have done this faster? Can we still do it faster going forward? And can this be expedited? Because the world is not going to wait for us for a long time. That's the discussion today. And I think that's where we need to open up ourselves and say, fine, let's be brutally honest. What's working, what's not working? Let's fix what's not working. We can talk about the past and we can talk about the blame game. I think that's enough of that. We don't need to get into that.
I would like to believe that the political will is there. But of course we have challenges as country member states. And it's expected. I don't believe that even in the European Union it's perfect. So those challenges are there. But I think we're clear, we're all moving in the right direction.
Amaran Kenya Limited has launched a new farmers kit targeting small-scale farmers as it aims to boost food security in the country, priced at 14,500 shillings. Amaran says the foundation kit will enable farmers with smaller parcels of land practice modern farming. This will in turn improve their returns as well as producing quality harvest. The kit launched at the Nairobi Agricultural Trade Fair at the Jamhuri grounds. Now, the kit comes with, among other things, high-yielding seeds, drip irrigation equipment and fertilizer. The kit, Amaran says, is also one of their strategies for endearing more young people into agriculture.
KTN Business.
Let's have a recap of our top story tonight. And tension is high in Mombasa as 4 men, among them a close associate of the late Abu Rogo, Sheikh Ibrahim, were killed by unknown gunmen last evening as they travelled from Mombasa to Mtwapa. Angry protesting youths then burned down a Salvation of Army church in Mtwapa area while venging their anger following the killings. One person is reported to have died in the confrontation that ensued between the police and the Muslim youth. Police were forced to fire tear gas in the air to disperse the youth. About this time last year, Sheikh Abu Drogo was killed in a similar fashion and the city erupted. It's now time for Mind Your Language. Found yourself in a sticky pronunciation situation. You know you say something and suddenly you are the center of attention because you probably said it wrong. Well, for that and many other reasons, we got you covered here on the Friday briefing. Now, he comes from the lakeside city of Kisumu. Some say that when you wake him up in the middle of the night, he can pronounce all the words starting with X in the dictionary correctly. All we know, he is Willis, the word master. Willis, great to see you.
Great to see you, Betty. What a wonderful start there.
Exactly. We know that you can pronounce all those words starting with X correctly. All right, Willis. Let's begin with matters religion. Do we say I was very blessed by the Archbishop's sermon, or I was blessed by the Archbishop's sermon?
Betty, we say Archbishop. We have that combining form being pronounced as arch, not arch. Just like we say archdiocese, not archdiocese. We say arch-rival, arch-enemy, or archduke. So the combining form is arch, not arch.
All right, got that. Now, what do you call that special place where ladies go to have their hair, braided or blow dried or put the long weaves? Is it saloon or salon?
Well, Betty, when we are talking about a place for hair treatment or beauty treatment, we say salon. Salon with one O. But when we are talking about a type of a car, we say saloon, a saloon car. So we have to distinguish between the two. A salon and a saloon. A saloon, that is for a car, but salon, a place for hair or beauty treatment.
All right, thank you for that. Let's move on to sport. Do we say Manchester United won the match, or is it Manchester United won the match?
Betty, first and foremost, you'll allow me to say we have won. Past tense of the word win is won. They won the match, not they won. I hope you just catch that. Then we say Manchester, Manchester, not Manchester. We don't rise like so. It's just Manchester United won the match.
I'm sure you've attended a number of weddings. If not, I'll make sure you attend one very soon. Do you say the bride is going to walk down the aisle, or is it the bride will walk down the aisle?
We say the aisle, aisle, not aisle or aisle, the aisle. That S is silent, so it's aisle, not aisle.
All right, let's move on. Valentine's Day is roughly 120 days away, and I'm sure probably you'll be buying your loved one a bouquet of flowers or a bouquet of flowers. Which is which?
Betty, your questions sometimes are really, striking. But then we say, bouquet, a bouquet of flowers, not a bouquet, not a bouquet, and all that. Bouquet, bouquet. But when we are talking about banquet, that is a different thing. State banquet. But for flowers, we say bouquet, bouquet.
All right. Are you comfortable with my questions? Today, Willis, you're complaining. Is it comfortable or comfortable?
I feel this is a very, very big one. Most people find themselves saying comfort, comfortable, which in fact are wrong. We should say comfort, comfort, then comfortable, comfortable, or comfortable. There is something called an elision. When you leave part of, a word, some sound in part of a word, like now, far, you now say ftable, ftable. Comfortable, comfort, not comfort, comfortable. Yeah.
All right. I like the way you explain your pronunciations. Thank you very much, Willis, for your time. And always a pleasure. See you again next Friday.
See you too, and always I do remind people that you can always pronounce words correctly when you are serious and interested in pronouncing them correctly. That is for effective or clear delivery of intended messages, Betty. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. That is Willis, the word master, now known countrywide. And in a few weeks, he's probably going to be a very big name worldwide. If you have any other questions that you may want him to, help you out in pronouncing actually, you can tweet me at Betty Kyalo or at KTN Kenya with the hashtag Mind Your Language. That has been Mind Your Language on Friday Briefing. All right, time for sports. Now, former National Men's Volleyball League champions, the General Service Unit, overpowered Ulinzi 3-2 in a Premier League match played at the Lions School in Kisumu today. JSU started on the wrong foot, losing the opening set 23-25, but bounced back to take the second 25-14. Ulinzi themselves, former winners, took the lead for the second time with a 25-21 victory in the third. JSU took the remaining two sets, 25-12 and 15-10, for a Rangers steamrolled over Osirian 3-0. The General Service Unit won their second match in straight sets against Kenya Airways, while Ulinzi lost to Cooperative Bank 3-2 in their second match. Now, Strathmore Lears and Homeboys remain favourites after each winning 2 of their opening matches during the inaugural tennis-side rugby tournament. The tournament started at the Nyayo Stadium. Elsewhere, the national ball team registered their second win when they defeated Malaysia 9-3 as their sisters suffered a 7-0 defeat in the hands of India at the Kasarani Gymnasium.
Day 2 of the Roll Ball World Cup produced mixed results for Kenya as the women's team slammed to 7-0 defeat to an experienced Indian side at the Kasarani Gymnasium. The Cup, played in Kenya for the very first time, turned to be a training strip for the Kenyan girls, who dazed all through the play. India capitalized on the Kenyan's poor defense, which contributed to 5 goals by halftime. After the breather, the Kenyan team tactical changes seemed to pay off, albeit without a score, but conceded only 2 goals for the final score of 7-0. The Kenya men's team registered their second win of the tournament with a 9-3 victory against Malaysia. Tactician Jared Tobias' team talk at the break paid off as they outplayed their opponent to a final score of 9-3. Kenya will take defending champions Denmark tomorrow. In rugby, the inaugural Nairobi tennis-side tournament kicked off at the Nyayo National Stadium without the bigwigs KCB, Nakuru RFC and the Kenya Harlequins, who withdrew from the tournament. The matches fell to have the usual fan hype, but the players did not fail to impress. Strathmore Lears cruised to a 46-0 victory over Multimedia University, with Mick Kochola terming the tournament as a good ground for the preparation of the upcoming Impala Flylights tournament and the Kenyan Cup. Impala bagged a 41-0 victory against Masaku. The tournament will be on its high gear tomorrow, and more fans are expected to be at the Nyayo Stadium. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
Alright, we're just about to wind up, but before then, what would you do to show the love of your life how much they mean to you even after they're gone? Well, Dave McKinley has a story behind a sign of love along one of New York's busiest roadways.
In any marriage, you got to keep things going.
And throughout their life together, Joe Mikolajczyk was always big on surprising his wife, Mary Lou, whom he married in 1963.
You got to inject some kind of, we'll say, levity into the marriage. Just to see her smile was worth it to me.
So, long before their 50th anniversary this month, he hatched a plan to mark that occasion. A big plan.
A year and a half ago, before our 49th, I contracted for the same.
This one here on the I-190 South.
It was just my way of saying I love you.
But if you look close, you'll notice the dates on the billboard don't add up to 50. They add up to 68, which is how long Mary Lou lived before she died in April, 5 months shy of their golden anniversary.
I miss her every day. I cry every day. I cry every night. And I should cry. Like I said, she was a beautiful woman inside and outside.
And while Joe could have canceled the billboard before now, he decided not to. And he even let her in on the secret about it just before the end.
About a week before she died, I told her what I was going to do. And all she did was look at me and tell me I'm nuts. But she was worth it. I wanted her to have some sort of recognition.
Because if there's one thing he always knew in their time together, it was this.
You could look around all you want for as long as you want. You'll never find anybody like her.
He just wanted everyone else to know that too. Which is why he did this. And so you'll know that as you travel down this highway, and look up if you're inclined, that he will love her forever. It says so on that sign.
Yep. And I will.
Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
A heart-rending story there. We're just about to wind up the KTN Friday briefing, but let's revisit our BQ tonight. And we had asked, what are your thoughts on the Mombasa mayhem? What are your thoughts on the Mombasa mayhem? Let me sample a number here. Someone says, what did the church have to do with the murder? All involved should be arrested. Another one says, someone else says, it is wrong for the government to use such ways. Also, Christians will not be cowed by acts of hooliganism. Justice be our shield and defender. That's his Judy here in Nairobi. Another one says it is horrible and barbaric that people would burn down a church. It had nothing to do with the mayhem. Thank you very much for your comments and indeed for watching KTN Friday Briefing. We do this again next week with yet another interesting guest anchor from me, Betty Kyalo. It's goodbye. Makoha, is there anything else you wanted to say to the viewers?
Yeah, of course, yes. Nilikuwa tunasema niangalie huko. Nilikuwa nawaambia asanteni sana wa Kenya. Tupendane tu namna hivyo, and I love you so much. Peace, lazima tuweke peace kwa dunia. Manake hii ngoma yangu inakuja very soon na ni ya kuweka peace in East Africa. Thank you very much. God bless you. I love you so much. Naweza wakisi juu ya hewa.
Sawa. Okay.
Betty naweza kakukisi. Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Yes.